So, good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Female Founders Access to Finance. My name is Roseanne Kelly, and I am the Chief Executive of Women in Business. And I am absolutely delighted to be here today for this first ever event that is specifically for females around access to finance for your business. It is really important that we are doing this, as it acknowledges that there are barriers and that women also access and approach finance in a very different way. As they said, if Lehman Brothers had been Lehman Sisters, we may not have been in as much bother. So this morning, we will talk first of all about the fabulous initiative Women in Business and Techstart have in terms of the 35k grant prize fund, which is specifically for females, and you will hear from the Techstart team around that later. Again, I am delighted to work with Techstart on this, and again, it's a first. Also today you will hear from our partners Enterprise Northern Ireland with regard to additional funds that we have secured specifically for female entrepreneurs on the Startup Loan Fund. This will also be supported by a number of clinics, and again you will hear from Enterprise Northern Ireland on that later. And Women in Business will continue to work in this area in terms of getting female specific funds for all of our entrepreneurs so that they can grow their business, and we will be looking at a female equity fund in the future. So as I say, really delighted to be here today, and I wish I could have seen you all in person, but that wasn't to be the case with COVID. We stick by the rules here. So just a little bit of housekeeping before I hand over. It is a webinar today, so therefore you will not have access to your camera and microphone and will remain on scene by the other attendees. And there are a number of delegates here today who have reserved one of the 18 one-to-one slots, and you have received a second link to that. So if you can click on that at the your allocated time slot. With that, if those people who have that slot can really focus in on what they want to ask the Techstart team, because the 10 minutes will go very quickly. So without further ado, as they say, I will hand over to the amazing Techstart team to take you through the grant competition. Thank you.
Sorry about that. I presume you can all hear and see me. My name is Hal Wilson from Techstart Ventures. Thanks to you all for coming and having us today. My role here is really just to set the scene as to who Techstart Ventures are and a high level as to what we do. And then my colleagues will go into more detail about the specifics of the proof of concept grant call that we're doing in conjunction with Roseanne and her team. Our core business is early stage technology investment. So we look for startup and early stage technology companies in Northern Ireland and in Scotland. And we've been doing this for quite a number of years now, since 2014. We manage a fair old chunk of capital. We've got about £110 million worth of seed capital. And also we've got a proof of concept grant fund. Whoops, sorry, I'm bear with. So you can see there's an office in Belfast and an office in Edinburgh. Portfolio is sizable with about 100 companies across the two regions and a sizable number of founders, folk who at the time of ideas were in the same position that you guys are today. The grant fund is it's 4.5 million in total. It's been running since 2019. And I guess the aim of the grant is to identify and work with people who have got an idea and provide them with some money by way of a grant to see if that grant can help tease out whether or not the idea has got commercial potential or not. And you can see that we run a whole cycle of grants over the years, from small grants of 10K up to larger grants of 75K. The grant program has proven to be an extremely good feeder for our core business, the equity fund. So on the previous slide, there was about 1,200 applications have been received, and we've awarded about 380 to a variety of different folk over the last number of years. About 10% of those have turned into companies in which we have invested. So the yield on the grant program is about 10% of awards. Those 38 companies have taken about £1 million worth of grant in total. And the seed funds that we manage have invested about 17 million in those companies. And you can see about £58 million worth of other people's money have come into those companies. So the grant program has proven itself to be a great early stage way for us to engage with entrepreneurs, to get them into the equity funds and to broaden the capital base of those companies by investing in them ourselves, but also helping those companies raise money from folks probably not from Northern Ireland. No, so guys, we've got greater amounts of capital and incremental networks to what we're able to offer. And if I can pass over to Kathleen, she will then take on a detailed dive into what we're talking about today.
Thanks, Al. Good morning, everyone. My name is Kathleen Garrett, and I am the Grant Fund Manager within Techstart Ventures. As Al has already covered, we have been running the grant programme now for just over 7.5 years, and we have been supporting entrepreneurs throughout Northern Ireland. But today we're really excited to have partnered with Roseanne and the team at Women in Business to launch this Female Founders Grant Competition. A grant competition that will hopefully inspire, encourage, support, motivate females like yourselves with business ideas to come forward and apply for grant funding to start developing and growing your idea and hopefully turn it into a successful business. In terms of the grant competition, the Female Founders that we're currently running, so this competition has a total prize fund of 200k, enabling us to award multiple grants up to a maximum value of 35k each. The grant funding is provided by Techstart and will be distributed under the same terms and conditions of our standard proof of concept grant fund that Hal covered. Successful applicants will also receive a business mentor, which will be provided through the Women in Business mentoring programme. That mentor will be individually picked and assigned to the winners, depending on what your concept is. In terms of the applications and what we are looking for, so we've touched on novelty and innovation. We are called Techstart, but in terms of the grant fund, the ideas don't necessarily have to be tech. The main thing for us is novelty and innovation. The grant fund is more of a generalist fund. I did have a query this week where someone asked, is it only for tech ideas? But the answer to that is no. But one of the key things is novelty and innovation. So when I say that, I mean, hopefully you will have identified a problem or a gap in the market, and you've come up with a solution and you want to start developing that solution and kind of proving that your solution will work. So proving that it's commercially viable, that it's technically feasible. So the ideas that we want to see should be new ideas that haven't already been done in the way that you're proposing. That's the first part. And the other thing that we look for in applicants coming forward is the market. So we're obviously looking for big market opportunities. So we'll want to understand the market that you're addressing in terms of size, the research that you've done, etc. And the other thing that adds value around the market is any market validation that you've done to date. So the likes of speaking to potential customers, end users, receiving feedback from people beyond family and friends, whether that's surveys, focus groups, etc. Just some evidence that there is willingness out there and that people agree that what you're doing is a good idea. And in addition to that, then we obviously look at the founder or the founders. And we want to know that you're the right person or the right people for this idea. We're looking for ambitious individuals and individuals who are well suited to your concept and to your idea. So good founder market fit. We want to understand your background, your experience, your knowledge, your network, all that good stuff. And then the other point that we look for as well is the amount of grant that you're applying for, and what that will be spent on and who that will be spent with. And I'm going to apologise in advance for the next few slides because they're quite dull and they're pretty black and white in terms of how they look and what I'm going to say. So we'll try and get through them quickly. In terms of the criteria for the Female Founders Grant Fund, I've highlighted a couple of bullet points here. We've covered already the novelty and innovation, and that's one of the key points. A couple of other things to consider is then, as an applicant, you can be an individual, so you can be a sole trader, you can be a partnership, or you can apply as a limited company. And one key point to note is that you should be, well, you have to be resident in Northern Ireland, so you have to be a Northern Irish resident. And if you're applying through a limited company, the limited company should be registered in Northern Ireland. And unfortunately, if you have already received Techstart equity funding or a Techstart Concept Plus grant, so that's a grant of more than 10K, then you would not be eligible to apply for this Female Founders Grant competition. And that's simply because the Female Founders Grant competition, the prize money is coming from our Proof of Concept Fund. To highlight how the funding works itself. So the grants are not given to you up front. So if you apply and are successful, you don't get the money straight away. The grants are paid in arrears. So if you're successful, Techstart will work with you to agree exactly how you're going to spend the money and who with. The majority has to be outsourced to a supplier. So say, for example, you wanted to start building an app or start designing, developing a piece of hardware, and you identified a supplier who could do that. And they would then start the work, they would bill you, you would pay them, and we would reimburse you. Now that can be done in installments. It doesn't have to be, a large lump sum at once. And we are really flexible and work with our entrepreneurs quite closely. And we can work with you in terms of your cash flow and the agreement that you have with your supplier. So if you were doing it in installments of £1,000 payments, that's completely fine. You would pay your supplier and we would reimburse you in those smaller installments. And I should highlight that if you are applying as a limited company, then you can avail of up to 30% of the grant to cover internal costs. So if you have the expertise and the knowledge to do some of the work, the likes of, say, further market validation or maybe building something yourself, you can use up to 30% of the grant for your own time, and that's paid at £200 per day. But to avail of that, you have to be a limited company, and the remaining 70% must be outsourced to someone else. And that supplier that you are outsourcing the grant to must be an independent third party. And when we say that, we mean someone that you're not personally, or a business you're not personally connected to. The information that I'm giving you on these slides is also available on our website in a little bit more detail. But in terms of eligible activities that the grant can cover, so there's some activities that this grant can cover, but there's some that it can't cover. And those that it can't cover will hopefully be covered by other grants and funding through the likes of Invest.NI. In terms of what we can cover though, the likes of concept prototype development would be a typical activity. And when I say that, I mean the likes of, if you wanted to start developing a mobile app, a piece of software, you maybe had a piece of hardware, a product that you wanted to start designing, building, developing, those types of activities to give you a deliverable at the end. The grants are typically then also used on further market activities, and that's around, further research, further validation, testing activities, and that includes the likes of, focus groups, attendance at trade shows, and maybe bringing in some domain expert consultancy work, or costs associated with testing, the right way of taking your product to market, those types of activities. Again, because it is a generalist fund, you kind of need to look at each application individually to see which activity kind of suits where you are and what you want to do next. But that will all come through in the application form. And if you do put down something that we see maybe isn't eligible, but we feel actually you could be doing another activity, we'll chat to you about that and help you if your application is successful. We also cover the assessment of uniqueness of IP, so that's really just an IP search. And as I've touched on the previous slide, we cover your internal costs as well if you've got the expertise. And I've highlighted a number of non-eligible activities on this slide. Again, there's a further list of this available on our Techstart Grants website, which maybe lists a few more, but just to make it clear, a couple of activities we definitely don't cover, which people do inquire about, are IP protection. So yes, we do the IP search, but we don't cover the likes of trademarks and patents, etc. Typical marketing costs, so the likes of logo, branding, design work, if you were like penguin stands, brochures, t-shirts, all that sort of stuff we don't cover. We don't cover any costs that are incurred outside the project timeframe. So if you've done work already, we can't pay you for that. We can only cover work that's done post-award. And if you are successful, we would agree a start date, and anything from that start date we can cover. We don't cover costs that aren't associated directly with the project, equipment such as laptops and tablets and screens, etc., and stock. And then within the internal costs, we don't cover administration time, project management, and similar overheads. So how do you enter the Female Founders Grant Competition? So we're currently open for applications, and we're pleased to say that we have a few in already. To apply for the Female Founders Grant Competition, it's quite a simple process. I think it's a good process for you to do. It really kind of helps you get your idea and your concept refined and down into writing, which can be quite challenging to do, but I think it's always a good challenge. So to apply, if you visit our techstartgrants.com website, and if you head straight to the Get Started button, which is a pink button that you'll see on the screen, if you click on that, that will take you through to the online portal, where you'll be able to access the online application form. It's about 12 questions long. It might look quite daunting when you first open it, but it just kind of makes you think through, your problem, your market, your team, what you want the money for. And you will complete that online, press submit, and that will come through to us, who will then start reviewing. Just to highlight some key points in the competition schedule and some dates. The closing date is at the end of the month. So on the 31st of January by noon, you should have your application form submitted. We will then be reviewing the application forms that we receive. A number of applicants then will be taken through to the next stage in the application process, which will be a presentation or a pitch to a panel. And the panel will comprise of Techstart, Women in Business, and we'll have a guest judge as well. Those pitches you will be guided on, you will be given a template, and you'll be asked to cover certain subjects and certain areas about your business. So it makes it an even playing field for everyone. The pitches will be quite short. There will be a short Q&A session to follow. And after that, we will, as a panel, pick the winners and agree who is getting which amount of grants. And then we plan to announce the winners by the end of February. If you are successful, you'll then meet with Techstart to agree your project plan of expenditure, so how you're spending your money. You'll also be paired with your mentor through Women in Business, and then hopefully you will start building a successful business. And thank you so much for listening today. Before I hand over, I just wanted to cover a couple of more points. On screen, you'll see our techstartgrants.com website, which is a really good resource. On the website, there's a full list of FAQs. If there was something that I didn't cover in great detail today. As I've already said, there's the access there to the application portal, to the application form. On the application form, you will have to register to view the form, but then you can log in and out as often as you like to fill it in at your own time. On the Techstart Grants website as well, you'll also see that we run open office hours every Wednesday morning. So if you did want to chat to the Techstart team in a 20-minute slot over Zoom, you can register on our website to do that. I've also highlighted our Techstart Grants Twitter page where you can follow us. And I've also put down our email address. If you have any queries following this event, please don't hesitate to get in contact and drop us a note on our grants@techstart.vc. And the last point I want to make is, if for some reason you decide not to apply for the Female Founders Grant Competition, maybe the deadline's coming up too quickly and you want more time to prepare your application, there's no reason why you couldn't then apply for one of our standard 10k grants or 35k grants that Hal covered. we're open for applications throughout the year. Our closing dates are always advertised on our website. If you did want to have a chat before filling out an application form, again, please don't hesitate to get in touch. I'm now going to hand over to my colleague Audrey, who will be chatting to Yolanda Cooper from We Are Paradox. Thank you.
Thank you, Kathleen. So hi, everyone. My name is Audrey Osborne, and I'm from Techstart Ventures. And up next, I'll be talking with the fabulous Yolanda Cooper, CEO and founder of the Conscious Beauty Group. The Conscious Beauty Group consists of two main brands, We Are Paradox and Supernova. We Are Paradox is the pioneer of plastic-free beauty. It's known worldwide as the cool and clean, sustainable beauty brand, which brings together natural, vegan, clean formulas with high-performance results. Can't you tell? Supernova is the world's first cordless 3-in-1 hair straightener wonton, and even more exciting innovation planned for 2022. So first off, thanks, Yolanda, for being here. So do you want to start by telling us maybe a bit more about yourself and the Conscious Beauty Group?
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you for having me. It's always lovely to talk at these sorts of events, especially when it's all about female founders. So thank you everyone for having me. I actually started with the brand We Are Paradox first, which is now, we'll be in our third year, actually fourth year of trading now, that we're into 2022. And it really started with one of those really cliched light bulb moments. And it was actually at Dublin Airport, and I was going on holiday with my family, and I had overweight luggage, and I had to do that really embarrassing thing at the front of the queue, repacking the luggage, trying to get it down, which actually just happened to me last week as well. So 4 years later, it's still happening. But I remember standing there and having to tape out all of these things to try and get the weight down. And it was my mum that said to me, that is like Mary Poppins suitcase. You've, a wand, a tongue, a pair of straighteners, and we were only going away for a week. And I just blurted out, oh, why isn't there a hair tool that does it all? And I didn't think I'd invented something new. I thought I can't be the first woman to want a tool that does everything. But it turned out there was none on the market. And I remember the very moment sitting on that sun lounger thinking, I think women would buy this. I think women would buy this. And I thought, I'm going to go and try and figure out a way to research this and make it happen. So that was the kind of first light bulb moment. So that actually, even though the brand was called We Are Paradox, that was for a product called Supernova, which has now evolved into a brand of its own, as you mentioned, Audrey. But that's how it started. And then it was through the kind of research of the, for the hair tool idea, that I ended up discovering a big white space in the hair care market. So I found that there were two ends of the spectrum. There were clean brands on one side that were, great ingredients, but actually the packaging wasn't very aesthetic. You wouldn't find influencers talking about it and so on. And on the other side, there were the cool brands that everyone was talking about, but their ingredients were just, less than clean. And I thought there is an opportunity, there's a paradox here to bring together cool and clean, and then that's what we did. But yes, the very first port of call actually was with Techstart, and that's how the whole thing got off the ground.
Oh, it's amazing to me because it feels like only such a short time ago that you and your mom came in to pitch and did the whole presentation for a 10K grant. Can you take us back to that time and talk about how you got yourself ready, what the process was like, and your experience doing the pitch?
Yeah, I do. I remember thinking, okay, I bet any money this room is going to be full of men. And it mostly was. You were there, I think Kathleen was there, but there was also Jamie and Hal. And I thought, they're not going to understand how amazing this idea is of this 3-in-1 hair tool. So how am I going to explain it? And at the time, I knew we were going to potentially patent the idea. So I couldn't tell many people about it. The only person that I told at the time was my mom, because I trusted her implicitly. And I thought, right, Mom, I'm going to pitch this idea. I need you to come along so I can demonstrate to the room, this is what a straightener does. This is what a wand does. And this is what a tongue does. And she came along and she was my model begrudgingly. And I demonstrated, like, when women, travel and we want to change our hairstyle, we have to bring all of these things and look. And I remember gathering all the tools on the table and throwing them down, and it was bulky and heavy and clunky and whatever. And I thought, what if there was just one piece? And that is what ended up into Supernova. So this is the one piece. It's a straightener in the middle. It's a wand along the outside and a tongue in between. And we also made it cordless and battery powered, so you could travel with it as well. And I think that really helped kind of explain and articulate the idea. So that is, I guess, one of the pieces of feedback I would give you if it's something that's fairly complex or just not maybe something that the room might not know about, you know, go the extra mile to really demonstrate it, because it helps, and it helps me.
You definitely did that. And I remember it made such a big impact at the pitch that, you know, you could really articulate what the problem was, the market sizing, and you made it really clear and simple for everybody. And it was then quite quickly from there that we were able to go and hopefully, you know, put an investment in the company as well. So, you know, you've raised almost 3.5 million in equity investment. You've taken on debt. You're about to embark on a huge Series A in 2022. Can you talk about your experiences as a female raising investment?
I mean, you can imagine the perception that, you know, someone knocking on the door wanting to pitch a beauty brand in what is predominantly a tech, you know, investment ecosystem here, whether that's, you know, med tech or fintech or whatever. And I thought, how am I going to do this? And what I did was, because you know, there is no doubt about it, so many of the people that you'll be speaking to, if you are raising money, they are, you know, men, and they're not into, well, in my category, they don't have experience of beauty and the potential. And what I did was really spend the extra time defining, you know, the opportunity and really illustrating the size of the market, and also the profit margins. You know, there was so many things that I shared with the investors that they were just blown away with, because they didn't realize how profitable a beauty brand can be. You know, the scale and the size. For example, with hair care, you know, we're not bound by geography or seasonality, or, you know, the whole world is our oyster, which is why we've been able to launch into 25 markets as quickly as we did. So I think it's about, you know, really understanding, spending the time in researching before even the pitch, because actually that first grant really helped me do further research. But, you know, do what you can even before you get to that stage to really, you know, help people understand what the opportunity is like. So that's really where it all began.
I think that's a very good point. We see quite frequently, especially when it comes to females, that they'll hold back and they'll wait till they think they have it absolutely perfect before they'll present it to anybody or ask for a grant or equity or any of that. Do you have any thoughts or advice on that? Because obviously you came really early. You hadn't even put the whole Conscious Beauty Group plan together.
No, I didn't have a business plan. I had a product idea, but I believed so much that idea could turn into something big, but I didn't even know what big looked like. And actually, I was really naive at the time. You know, I had not started businesses before. Yes, I worked in beauty, so I understood the market well. But, you know, I came to Techstart with an idea and actually didn't even know you had a fund at the time. Like, I was just like, oh, there's a grant. I need a grant to get this started. Let's have this conversation. And I remember coming into the room and it was Kathleen said, can you just stay behind? I think Hal and Jamie want a conversation with you. And I felt like, you know, when the headmaster calls you in and you're like, oh, did I do something wrong on the application? Is there? And they described, you know, Techstart Ventures and the investment side of the business. And I, you know, and they were like, and we can invest, I think it was up to $250,000. And I just left the room and I was like, I think if I come back, I could get $250,000. And I phoned my husband and I was like, I don't even have a business plan. Like, what am I going to do? And I swear at the time, Googled how to write a business plan. Now, I studied business at university, so I kind of should have known a thing or two, but it felt like so long ago that I was like, right, back to basics. And that's what I did. I wrote a business plan that when I look back now is so different to the business that we're running now, but it doesn't matter. It shows that you've thought it through, that it was correct at the time that you wrote it, and the business evolves as you go. So yeah, absolutely. Don't feel like everything has to be perfect. Just get the idea down, really, really articulate it, and, you know, the rest can come after that.
Another thing that comes up quite frequently is, you know, females have lots of obligations, they have lots of commitments. I mean, you're a working mom, and I mean, you're fundraising, you've grown your company to over $1 million in sales. Like, how do you manage and how do you juggle to keep all these things afloat?
Really good question. Yes, I decided to have a baby in the middle of lockdown whilst raising money and growing the business. And it's a bit like, you know, they say when you're having a baby, there's no right time. And when you're starting a business, there's no right time. But what I would say is there's no wrong time. You know, even lockdown and COVID and people, you know, a lot of people would think, oh, well, this isn't the right time. You know, the world is in a mess. Like, that's not necessarily the case, depending on the context and the industry that you're in. You know, at the time when all salons were shut, yes, it wouldn't have made sense to start a salon in lockdown when they were closed for 9 months or whatever. But, you know, on the whole, actually, when things go wrong, it actually can give you a lot of time to plan. So, and that's what we did. Like during COVID in the beginning, when things were really in a mess, we took the time to really research and plan and strategize for the future, which ended up then kind of accelerating our growth further than what we expected during COVID. And yes, we hit 1 million in sales. So I would say, you know, it's about, it sounds cliched, but turning challenges into opportunities and seeing it from a different way. And it's all about mindset for me. And I feel like, you know, really respecting your own time is important too. And it's something that, you know, is a real focus for me this year. Is I have always said the phrase, you know, I don't want to waste your time in conversations and so on. But I'm also at a point where I don't want to waste my own time. So it's about, you know, really utilizing every moment of the waking day to be as productive and, you know, to plan ahead and to get the things done that you need done. So wasting no time and just using every moment. And I make sure that when I'm at home, you know, for the 2 hours before the kids go to bed, that's their time. And I have to be fully present then. But once they're in bed, you know, I'm usually back to what I did at the start, which is between 8 and midnight, you know, working away and planning for the future. But it doesn't feel like work when you're so energized and passionate about it. You just can't switch off. And that's okay. To blur the lines, I think, between personal and business is okay. I don't think it's a balance. Your life it's all one. So it's making the most of it.
Well, you touched on it in that as well, is about how you were able to be quick and nimble and, you know, transition, especially during the time of COVID. You were able to innovate really quickly to get the hand sanitizers out, to prioritize the hair masks and different things that women were needing as they were under lockdown. You know, and you were able to do that because you had good partners around the table. And I think, you know, you felt a bit confident that you could come to the board or come to investors like ourselves and propose those different types of changes. So how do you feel about, how did you pick those partners and find the right people to build? You know, you have a very strong chairman, a woman, you know, how did you find that?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think what I've realized is it's all about connections, you know, especially in Northern Ireland. Everybody is connected. There's like, it's not even 6 degrees of separation, it's like 2. So it's about, you know, using connections, or if you don't have any yet, if you're at the start of the journey, you know, pick one. And everyone's on the call here with Techstart. That's a really good place to start, because pretty much everyone that is active in the Northern Ireland investment scene, you guys know, and wider, not just UK and even further abroad. And what I realized went through my investment journey, and, you know, we have over 20 investors now, is everybody led me to somebody else. And Techstart were the very first in that chain, but you then introduced me to others and are currently, for our Series A, making a number of introductions. So I think, you know, speak to, and you've got those open hours and so on. Like, I would really advise anyone to speak to Techstart. You know, you'll get such good advice on where the next place is that you can go, if it's not something that Techstart can work with you on. But it's all about building connections and network and investing time in that, because it does take time, and especially fundraising. I often joke that it's a full-time job. I'm now a full-time fundraiser, but it takes that, and but that's just the way it is. So yeah, you use your connections or build connections.
Fabulous. Well, we're almost out of time, so I guess you're such an inspiration. You've done a lot in such a short period of time. You know, what advice can you give to other women who are thinking about starting their own business or have their own business and are thinking about applying for this grant? What would you tell them?
Do it. That's it. Just do it. It's how I got started. It's how we're now worth multiple millions in valuation. It's how we've done 1 million in sales. It's how we're with, you know, some of the world's biggest retailers like Harvey Nichols and Saks Fifth Avenue and ASOS.com and Macy's and QVC, you know, the list goes on. And it all started with a grant with Techstart. And my grant, I think, was 10K. So think what you can do with even more than that. So I would just say do it. And I feel for me, and this maybe isn't relevant for everybody because this is a moment at the very start of the journey, but I just remember changing my language from, you know, when I had the idea, it was, I'm thinking of starting this business, and it was thinking, and thinking is in limbo. You know, if you think too long, you're not doing anything. And I remember one day saying to myself, I'm going to change my language and start saying, I am starting a business. And I'm a big believer is when you put it out there, you're making it real. And the first person I said I'm starting a business to was my mum. And the second was my dad. And the third, I think, was probably Techstart. And then it was real. And then I did. So it's just committing to it. It's believing in yourself. And it's just utilizing, you know, the help that you can get with the likes of this grant to make it happen.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Yolanda. As always, it's a pleasure to talk with you and to be around you. And I look forward to chatting again on Monday to kick off this Series A fundraise. So
absolutely. Thank you so much. I'll be calling you more than you'll be calling me.
Brilliant. Well, up next, we have Michael and Amy from Enterprise Ireland, who are going to talk to you about the startup loans that are available across Northern Ireland. So we'll hand over to them.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Michael McQuillan here, and as you've just heard, I'm joined by Amy today from Enterprise Northern Ireland. Two apologies, I had to join the whole session a little bit late, and apologies that you have to listen to me after that most incredible and inspirational conversation with Yolanda there. There's something I just love. I love hearing the stories of business development and the founder stories of how their confidence has built, and you know, just in that short conversation there, hearing Yolanda talk about, you know, the very early stages, being in a way unaware that she had such a potential business idea in her mind at the outset, to move to talk quite confidently there about going for Series A funding over the next couple of weeks. It's just brilliant. What a wonderful story. Congratulations, Yolanda. So it's lovely to be here with you this morning. I'm going to be very brief because Amy's going to take you through some information about some of our funds and give you a little bit of information around that. I wanted to steal a very quick 1 minute of your time just to remind you about Enterprise Northern Ireland. We are a small team. There are 13 in our team, and we work with and through 28 local enterprise agencies right across Northern Ireland. And essentially our purpose is to sort of work locally to enable enterprise and entrepreneurship. And we know that this leads to an increasing amount of stronger businesses being developed and growing, the likes of Yolanda's. We know that it leads to the enriching and strengthening of local communities, and we know that this leads to a significant contribution to growing Northern Ireland's impact globally. So essentially, there's sort of four key areas there. There's four verticals there on the slide. We work through workspace. There's about 2.8 million square feet of workspace right across 56 sites in Northern Ireland, and it's there for all of you businesses to go and access for permanent or semi-permanent or temporary workspace. We have industrial units, office units, advanced manufacturing labs. We have everything right across the 56 sites. The venues are also open for lots of co-working spaces that can be accessed on an hour-by-hour, day-by-day basis. And also meeting and event space as well. So it's there, it's open, and it's open all year round. We've kept it open in a socially distanced way as much as possible throughout the pandemic. The second column there is really about the sort of activity that Enterprise Northern Ireland get involved in, sort of that local, very local economic and social development side of things. It's a whole range of activities, very local specific programs to help entrepreneurs, early stage businesses and scaling business owners get a little bit of advice and guidance, or engage in a short-term program that will help a specific element of the program, whether it's innovation, whether it's access to finance, whether it's growth, accessing new markets. There's a whole range of very local and specialized programs and direct mentoring. Each of the 28 LEAs operate as charities, charitable social enterprises. So, you know, over the last 12 months, we have delivered, on top of our sort of core programs, about 35,000 hours of pro bono business mentoring. And that's a network of about 400 mentors from people who have opened, established and scaled businesses locally and globally over the last number of years. Third column there is about our informed voice. We act as a sort of a representation and a representative voice for small and micro businesses right across Northern Ireland, all geographies, all sectors. And the barometer, which is, we've just finished the third year of the barometer, and the facts and figures that come out of that are well sought after by government, local government. So it was interesting this year that 36% of our respondents this year were female-owned or female-led businesses, and a further additional 24% of the businesses businesses where females were involved in co-ownership, which is an increasing percentage over the last 3 years, and it's really encouraging to see. We're also involved throughout the year in APG, all-party group, engagement with political parties up at Stormont. And we were the first actually in these islands to have an all-party group specifically focused on micro and small businesses. We had one session last year specifically focused on the challenges and the barriers of females starting and establishing their businesses. And there's another one planned specifically for female challenges in growing businesses in the early part of 2022. And the final one then is our core programs that we operate. We operate programs nationally right across Northern Ireland for pre-enterprise, the Go For It program for startup, Innovate, which is an innovation program. All of these programs are accessible to everyone around the virtual table today and beyond. So, you know, my advice to you is to, you know, pop onto the Enterprise Northern Ireland website, find out more about these various programs, help. You can just drop in, chat to your local business advisors or mentors to get some of that advice. So today is about access to finance and providing some information in relation to that. I am delighted to announce that we're working with Women in Business to deliver some follow-up workshops for women who own and lead their businesses, that will in a practical way help build some of the confidence that Yolanda showed there and readiness to apply for access to funding. And Amy will tell us a little bit more about that. Also delighted to announce today that British Business Bank, who run startup loans right throughout the United Kingdom, are working with us and Women in Business and have committed to provide for female-led and female-owned businesses guidance for additional startup loan support specifically for female-led businesses throughout the rest of this financial year. So Amy's going to give us a bit of an overview now of the two access to finance loan funds that Enterprise Northern Ireland are responsible for managing in Northern Ireland. Over to you, Amy.
Good morning, everybody. It is a pleasure to be here today with the team at Women in Business and Techstart. It's been a fantastic morning so far, and I know there's so much more to come. As Michael says, we're going to take you through a little informational session this morning and talk about startup loans specifically, what's involved and how you can get involved with it. So to give you a bit of an overview, what is startup loans? So it is a government-backed personal loan for business purposes that is available to individuals looking to grow a business in the UK. So it is important to note that this is a personal loan that does go into your personal bank account, but must be for business purposes. And when we talk about looking to start or grow a business, what we really mean there is businesses that are pre-trading. So that is anybody with a viable business idea, right up to anybody who has been trading up to 2 years. So if that sounds like you and you want to get involved, we are here to help. In addition to the loan, successful applicants receive 12 months of free mentoring and exclusive business offers to help you succeed. And that is what's really quite different about us, in the sense that we are here to help you through the application as well as post. Sometimes when you receive this money, you go, oh my goodness, where do I start? So we are there right by your side during that hand-holding period when it's so important when you want to grow your business. The loan is unsecured, so there is no need to put forward any assets or guarantors to secure and support an application. And I think that is very important to know, especially if you're in that viable business idea, you don't know where it's going to go, where it's going to take you. This loan may be for you. It's also important to note that all owners or partners in the business can individually apply for up to 25,000 each, with the maximum of 100,000 available per business. So if we just move on then and talk a little bit about the startup loan itself and how it is matched for you. So you can borrow between £500 and £25,000, with the average loan being around £7,000. So that's a quite nice difference for you. So if you feel like you just need something, a little bit of money just to keep you going, you can borrow up to £500 to keep you going up to that 25,000. It's a fixed interest rate of 6% per annum, with the repayment terms of between 1 and 5 years. I think a lovely thing to note as well is there is no application or setup fees as well. So that's a nice little benefit with the loan itself. And free application support, as I've noted, is available, including access to business planning templates and guides. And we will talk about that a little bit later on, and we'll look at the website as well. I think that's a key feature as well for you, is to go away today, have a wee nosy at it. Once you've received all this information, you can go there and check out all the free templates, tips, tools and tactics that are available for you. And as well as that, it is free post-loan support and mentoring. So as I'd said, you've got that 12 months of real solid business advisor support there to take you through those next stages. So you find your passion, we help you make that reality through the funding that we have available. So be eligible, I suppose this is the big key one, and to be eligible to apply for a startup loan, you must fit the following criteria. So if you see there is a couple of bullet points, and please don't let that scare you, because like I say, we have got our loan executives there who are at hand to help you and handhold you through this full experience. So to give you a couple of key points and things that I would always highlight, you need to be a business that has been trading up to 24 months, and you must show that you're unable to secure funding from other mainstream funders. So that's the likes of your banks. Your business must be based in the UK, and you must have the right to work in the UK. A big one for me that actually isn't on the list is that you must have a robust business plan and cash flow forecast to be able to get through the application process. And like I say, we are there to help you through that. So we actually have, as Michael touched on, the Go For It program, and that is there to help you create that robust business plan and that cash flow forecast. And like Yolanda had said earlier, maybe that's not the business plan that will take you down the line 3 years, but that gives you a start, and it gives you a strong, robust structure to start you forward. And it lets you see, actually, how much money do I need to get me really off the ground here? How much do I need to take me from working in my spare room to having a premises or having a space that I can sell my business products or services? So it is important to note that it is accurate information that is required. And like I say, we are there to help support you through that. Northern Ireland is the official Startup Loans delivery partner, and we are there to help guide you through. So like I say, we'll help you develop your business plan and financial forecast and keep you going and support you throughout. So just to keep on going and to keep with time, I'm just going to go through the other fund that is available, Northern Ireland Small Business Loan Fund. We can give you more information about that. I'll drop all the emails into the chat, and as well as that, the Startup Loans Fund email as well, and website, because it's really good, like I said, to check out. We've got loads of tips, tools and tactics. But the one thing I just want to finish on is the exciting workshop that we have coming up, and Michael had already touched on it, and it's about building confidence and readiness for accessing finance. And this is a female-led dedicated session for you. It's happening on the 1st of March 2022 at 10 a.m. to 11, and this is there for you to increase and gain awareness and become loan application ready. So I'll give you a brief whistle-stop tour of startup loans and what's involved. But what I will do is drop all that information in the chat. So if you do want to reach out to us, please know that we are there to help and support you and guide you through this journey. But we would love to see you there on the 1st of March. And like I said, we'll be following up with you post today's event to give you all that information. But thank you so much for listening. I am going to pass it over to Mary Mckenna, and we're going to find out all things equity. So I'm going to stop sharing and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you, Amy. And I just want to say, Women in Business, we're really excited to be working with both Techstart and Enterprise Northern, and looking forward to working with you on these clinics going forward. And I would encourage everyone to book in for that one on the 1st of March. Also to say that Yolanda, absolutely amazing, and gave such great advice in 25 markets already. She really was fantastic, and I think every piece of advice she gave was very, very good. I think in particular, I really loved the thinking is in limbo. So yeah, let's just do it and let's just get on with it. And also her advice around connections and networking. So if you're not a member of Women in Business, join. But another woman who is does it and just gets on with it is Mary. So I'll hand over to Mary for our final session. Mary Mckenna is the co-founder of Awakening Hub and is going to tell you all you need to know about equity. So over to you, Mary. Thank you.
Thank you, Roseanne, and good morning, everyone. And thanks for the invitation to be here from, to the Techstart team as well today. So Roseanne's already introduced me. My name's Mary Mckenna. I'm probably best known in Northern Ireland for being one of the co-founders of the e-learning company, Learning Pool. So I've sold my own company, and these days I'm an angel investor. So I invest in other people's businesses, and some of those have been sold as well. And also I co-founded a female founder community, which is an all-Ireland community last summer. We have 1,500 women in there, and we're halfway through an accelerator for female founders. And I believe some of our women are on the call today, and that's called She Generate. So I've been asked this morning to chat to you about what equity is. So equity is simply another word for the shares that are available in your company. So usually when you start out, you or your co-founders own 100% of the shares. And usually, as long as you own more than 50% of your shares, you have control and you can continue to take decisions. So lifestyle businesses generally keep all the shares and they fund themselves from small bank loans or working capital from revenue. But innovative and potentially fast-growing businesses, like the ones that you're considering and the ones that this grant is targeting, they generally need more money to get started than the founders have themselves in their own personal bank accounts. So what they do is they sell part of the equity of part of their shares in their business to an external investor. So this external investor might be a business angel, or it might be a syndicate of business angels, or it might be what is called an institutional investor. So the investors, like a venture capital fund, like Techstart is. So the investors invest their money in your business at risk, and in return, they own some of the company's share capital and they become shareholders. So as well as ownership of part of the company, the transaction may give them other rights. So they may have the right to become one of your board directors, or they may have the right to take some of the decisions around how your business goes forward. And at the time that the shares are sold, a valuation is placed upon your company. And we don't have enough time this morning to go into all the different ways that a company can be valued. So this is a really complex topic, but it's one that you can read about all day long on the internet when you've got time to sit there and go through it. So I think that if you're here this morning, you probably do already understand what the basics of equity and shares are. So I'm going to use my next 5 minutes to just give you a few pieces of advice and some pitfalls to watch out for if you are thinking about taking on external investment into your company. And there was my stuff dovetails really well with Yolanda, although we didn't plan it that way. And she gave some great tips earlier as well. So 3 pieces of advice and 3 pitfalls to watch out for. And I'm going to start with the positive, start with the advice first. So the first thing that I would say, and link back to what Roseanne was just saying about networking, is start looking for investors early. This is the hardest part. Start this process way before you think you need to. And it's all about networking and building your network. Your first fundraise will probably take you between 6 and 9 months from today, if you're thinking about it today. So, but it often takes longer, and there are often a few false starts. So if you don't have a suitable network, you need to start straight away today. So join Women in Business, come along to Awaken Hub and come to our events. We've got an event next Tuesday at 5 o'clock. We have Kelly Hoey speaking at it, and she is one of the world's leading experts on networking, and you'll find the details on our website. So my second piece of advice is to do your homework, not just on investors, although you need to do plenty of homework on potential investors into your business, but also in terms of your own preparation. Decide on the sort of investment that you need, learn the jargon, go and watch other people pitching, and start and work on your business plan. As Yolanda mentioned there, when she began to raise investment, she realized that she needed to get a business plan done. If you're not an accountant, learn about balance sheets and cap tables at the very least, so that you can understand why investors are interested in those things. And think about your valuation and how much equity in your business that you're prepared to part with. Start working on your pitch deck early, because it's likely to go through lots and lots of iterations. And don't forget to access as many of the free grants that are available as you can. So £35,000 that is available with this grant isn't going to be everything that you need to get your business started, but it really is a great start. And furthermore, the mentoring and supports that you will receive as part of it will be a really great benefit for you. My third thing is, if you are raise enough, especially now during the pandemic. The process of raising investment can be very time consuming, and it can be a serious distraction to your business. So make sure that you ask for enough. This is something that women often just do fall foul of. They don't ask for enough money. So whatever you're thinking about, really make sure that it's enough money so that you don't have to raise again in 6 months' time. I'm going to finish with a few pitfalls. So the first one is, don't let the process go slowly because you're not prepared. Get your documentation completed early and in order. Get your business plan done. Get it in the right format that an investor's going to want it in. Have everything in your business up to date, your contracts, your customer contracts, your share register, all of those other things, your cash forecasts, all of that, everything written up so that you don't get there's no last minute surprises. The second thing is, be careful that you don't give away too much of your equity to the wrong investors, because that's something that you would then have to address later, and that can be a bit embarrassing if you have to ask your family to give you shares back or that sort of thing. Really do your homework on the investors, and talk to the founders of other businesses that those investors have invested in to make sure that they carried through on their promises. And then the last pitfall that I have for you is to really think about the change that will happen in your business when you take on investment. You might still be the figurehead, but the company is no longer all yours. Maybe things were very informal previously, but now you have to be accountable to your investors. So think about what that change might mean to you. Over time, you might decide to move on yourself, or your investors might decide to replace you. So take all those things into account when you're thinking about this. And this links back to really the reasons that you have for starting your business in the first place. And it's just a little reminder from me that investment isn't something that should be rushed into or taken lightly. We don't have any time for questions this morning, but you can contact me via my own Twitter account or via the Awaken Hub Twitter account. There's lots written on my blog, and you'll find my details on the internet. So all that remains is for me to say, as Yolanda said earlier, there is no wrong time to get started. So the right time is now, and would like to wish you all the very best of luck. And thank you.
So thank you very much, Mary, for sharing with us. And again, as Yolanda said, it's all about utilising your time. And so I want to thank Mary and Yolanda for taking time out to be with us today. And also just everybody who's been here today and the organisations, Techstart, Enterprise Northern Ireland and Women in Business. We are here to help you and to support you, and we will do everything we can to help you grow your business. So I would really encourage you to apply for if the criteria fits, for the Techstart Grant Fund. Look at applying to the Startup Loan Funds, and really take all the support and advice that you can. Access to finance should not be something that holds back your business, and Women in Business are very determined that we will ensure that there is specific female access to finance so that we can support all of our members to grow their business. I'd also like to say a thank you to Belfast City Council also, who have supported us with this event, and they also have a lot of support out there. And what we will do is we will email everybody with all of the contact details of all of the organisations here and links. So we will get that all out to you to support you. So just in terms of the people who are have slots for the one-to-one sessions, again, click in on your allotted time, and if you haven't got the link, if you contact email wib@planned.co.uk. Just before we go, also, yeah, there's some brilliant events coming up for Women in Business. I think there's a slide up that shows some of our the events. Yeah, there we go. Spark Your Potential, Informing Your Brand with Dale Farm, and Finding Your Voice. They're all coming up, and you can go to our website. But also want to flag with you, the 10th of March is our Women in Business Awards, but also getting awards and acknowledgement is very important as well. So enter the Women in Business Awards. There's a startup category, there's a marketing category. So have a look at that. It's all on the website, and the entry deadline for that is the 31st of January. So you have lots of dates there. You have Mary has an event on Tuesday. We have our Techstart Awards deadline 31st, Women in Business deadline 31st, and then also the Enterprise Northern Ireland joint event with Women in Business on the 1st of March. But like I say, we'll get an email out to you with all of these details. And again, I would encourage you to take on the advice. Just do it. Don't let access to finance be a barrier for your business growth. So thank you everybody for coming on board today, and I wish you all and huge success for your business going forward. Thank you very much.